Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking to y'all about how to use an extruding gun to create clay coils. So the first thing that you need to do is take the gun apart and get it prepped for the clay. So I'm going to unscrew the end of it here. This is where we're going to put our die in for cutting or extruding the coils. And I've unscrewed it here, but it's not wanting to come out. So the way that you're going to get this off is you're going to press down on this lever right here in the back and then pull. You're going to press down here and then you're going to pull this back. Ooh, terrible sound. Okay, so now you can press down on the lever. It was stuck in there. So now what you're going to do is you're going to press down the lever right here and pull this back. We can go ahead and lay this to the side. And then what we want to do is we want to figure out what die we're going to use for our coils and place it on the end here. So for the design that I'm going to be creating, I want round coils. So I'm going to be using this die, but you can see that we have lots of different shapes. This one is great for creating handles. This is just going to create our standard coil, the circle shape. This would be great for creating handles for mugs. We also have a square die, which if you're creating a large vessel might be good to use because these coils will stack up on top of each other really nicely. And then we also have a triangle die. And then we have one that's going to be lots of little holes and kind of like making spaghetti with like the Play-Doh. That you might be used to as a kid. You can think of the extruding gun as the same thing. It's just on a larger scale. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my metal die and I'm going to place it on the inside right here. And then I'm going to take the base or the body of the extruding gun and go ahead and screw that die into place. And I'm just going to make sure that it's in place nice and tight. And I'm just checking to make sure that it's threaded evenly on there. All right, so then the next thing to do is to prep our clay to go into the extruding gun. So I've cut down this, but we can look and see that this is going to be much too large. So I'm going to go ahead and get a wire tool. And I'll use the wire cutter to slice this and make it smaller. So I'm going to cut this in half. And then if you want to, you can kind of form it into like a really thick coil. I might. Try not to shake the table too much with the camera. Just squishing down those sharp edges. And then we'll put the clay in the tube. Okay, so then the next step is to take the end of the extruding gun and attach to the tube. And I'm going to actually twist the tube itself to tighten the body onto the back of the clay gun or the clay extruder, because if you twist this, it's going to start coming loose from the handle right here, and I can show y'all how to fix that. If that were to happen, just let me know, but we just want to avoid that from happening, so I twist the body versus twisting the end of the handle right here. So then the next thing I'm going to do is now we're just ready to extrude our coils. So it's very simple and straightforward. You're just going to press the handle over and over again, and you'll notice that as I press the handle, the end right here is starting to push down, which then extrudes our clay through that die to give us a nice, perfect, consistent coil. Now, as you're doing this, it's going to start getting more and more difficult to press the clay through. So I'm going to kind of rest it on the table and use 2 hands to help extrude it. And as it's coming out, you may want to straighten it. And this is a much quicker way to hand build using coils versus, and sometimes like you'll see here we got an air bubble. That's okay, but we are going to want to pay attention to that when we're creating our designs. And the more like pieces of clay that you put into the tube, the more likely you are to have air bubbles. That's why I wanted to start off with a piece of clay that's nice and solid and has been wedged all the way through, to help avoid that happening as often. You also want to make sure that your clay is very plastic, so new and not too dried out, because if it's really dry, you're going to also have a very difficult time extruding the coil. Let's see, we hear another air bubble. So you can cut these off at any increment that you want. I'm going to be creating lots of coils, and I'm going to use several for a fairly intricate design. So I'd rather mine be longer versus short. I think it's just going to make my job easier in the end. But I also am going to want the majority of my coils a little bit skinnier than this. So this is giving me a good base. I will go in and roll each coil a little bit skinnier for my design. But for the purposes right now, I'm just going to go ahead and set it to the side, and I will work on creating more. And I'm just going to keep doing this until the clay completely runs out and I need to reload it. All right, so we are now at the end. You can see where this lever is pushed all the way down through the tube now, so we're out of clay and it's time to reload it. So when you go to reload it, if it's stuck like this, you can try pushing the lever back. We saw at the beginning of the video that I was having a difficult time with that. And right now it's okay. It came back a little bit easier like it was supposed to in the beginning. So what I'll do now is unscrew this, and we can see that there is a little bit of clay left over right here at the bottom of it at the end. So you can remove that if you want. When you are done and you clean up, let's go ahead and talk about that. So when you're done and you want to clean up with the extruding gun, what you're going to do is you want to clean all of this clay off right here. That's really not going to be good to leave at all. So you can peel that off. If you need to, you can use a popsicle stick or a clay tool to help you get this off. There's no need to go in and rinse if you get all of the clay off, but you definitely need to get it all off. Okay, and then what you'll do here is you will unscrew the end and remove the die. And when you remove the die, you're going to also need to remove a little bit of clay that'll be left over on the die as well. So you'll go through, clean out the edge of the tube right here. You'll clean the die off, and then you want to make sure that all the other die get put back into their plastic bag so we can keep everything nice and organized and not worry about losing any of our pieces, because the extruding gun doesn't work well if you don't have the die that you need for it. And once you get everything cleaned off, you can use a sponge, run this under the sink, get it nice and clean, put it back into our plastic bag over here, and then we will reassemble. So we'll reassemble it, completely put it back together, but without any clay in it.